Good day, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of Shooting the Shit with the Rhino. This has been a long time since we've done one of these. You know, we've done more heart-to-hearts and vlogs. So I have two topics here, and I'm going to bring up some examples, and I'm sure one of my buddies is going to get pissed off that I bring up an example, but he was just one of the reasons I thought of this, and this happened about a week ago, and then So first and foremost is beer reviewers. There's a lot of us. There really is. I shouldn't say beer reviewers because it's not just reviewers, it's beer influencers. So guys on Instagram and all that as well. There is hundreds upon thousands of guys doing it now. And it seems like most people are doing it solely for the free booze, because in the last couple of years it seems to be that these breweries will give booze to anybody right now. If you have an Instagram account, and you've shown your face in a brewery, you're going to get free booze. Now the reason this topic's coming up is one thing I've always prided myself on is that even though I have gotten stuff free in the past, I'm very, 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 very open about how I feel about things. Nickelbrook, for instance. Nickelbrook has given me free beer forever. I did a review of Nickelbrook's gluten-free and I hated it. And I walked into Nickelbrook one day and I was buying beer, and the owner, John, was looking at me and he's like, "I know you from so. You're the guy that slagged my beer." And he went off on one side of me, down the other, about how there's all these celiacs that love his beer and do you want to start reading emails from them? I'm like, no, I don't, because I don't have to drink that beer. I didn't like it. He's like, well, let's try it. And there have been beers that I've loved. I've gone there one day and helped him do some canning, and you know, he had an old canning line, so you'd get about 72 cans that you couldn't sell, and he sent me home with a 2-4 of the canned beers to bring home and do with as I pleased, which was I drank with them. I've not always loved his beers. I've been very honest when I don't love his beers. Now, recently I've seen a lot of posts from a lot of people about different things. Sober Carpenter. So I've been doing the Sober Carpenter beers. One of my friends was like, "Oh, they sent me a media kit to do reviews on it, and I could have told you that they sucked. I couldn't figure out a way to say they all tasted the same and they weren't good." And I'm like, because they were free? Here's what you do. Your fucking beer sucks. It tastes the same. Make better beer, regardless of whether it's free or not. You shouldn't have the fear that, hey, if I'm telling the truth, if I'm being honest, I'm going to lose my freebies. That's bullshit. And I see it all over the place right now. Now, I was just using him as an example. Don't think that I'm saying it's only him, but word for word, that's what he said is, you know, they sent me the beer for free, and I couldn't think of a nice way to say it all tastes the same. Well, you just say it. You don't say it nicely if you don't have to. Be honest. But I've seen a lot of things about Steam Whistle's Harvest Lager out right now. I've seen about 15 different people get it for free, and they're all talking about how good it is. And then I saw Jordan St. John. Jordan St. John is a reputable author in Ontario, and he also teaches at George Brown, as well as a bunch of other places with in brewing and tasting and sensory courses. And he was talking about how it just seems like Von Bugle slightly tweaked. And he's being honest about it. You know, is it something different? Not really. Is it something that'll sell them some beer? Absolutely. Is it great? Not really. Is it drinkable? Yeah. And that's the type of stuff you need to do. You need to be honest with people about what's going on, about what is being drank, about what's being served to you. It doesn't matter if I was given Molson Dry free for life. If I said something good about it, I wouldn't say something good about it, because I don't like it. I've gotten free beers from Redbeard. Redbeard had set something up where we got a bunch of free beers from a brewery that was opening up, Sydenham Farm Brewery, and they sent beers to a bunch of guys, him, myself, Basement Beer Reviews, I guess in the basement and then out of the basement on the 10th. Been all over, has all sorts of channel names. There was a whole bunch of us that got them, and I think there was one of the 4 I liked, and the other 3 were garbage. 2 of them had brewing faults. One of them just blew up, and there was a lot of weirdness in them. And regardless of whether I got them for free or not, I have to be honest, these aren't great beers. yay, you gave them to me for free, but they're not great beers. Now, one thing I can say is that I personally know a lot of people that are schlubs for certain breweries, and will say nothing but good things for those breweries, because every time they show their face in those breweries, they walk out with free booze. That's not being real, that's not being honest, that's not doing a service to anybody, that's doing a service to yourself. And then people are going out and buying things because you're saying this is great. Breweries need two of three things to be great, and if they have all three of them, they're doing amazing. And if they have one of the three, they can survive, and that's great people, great prices, great beer. And if you have those things, you don't have to worry about what anyone says. There are breweries that somehow survived without any of those three, and a lot of them aren't there now. Even before the pandemic hit, some of them were starting to get knocked off. Trafalgar Ales and Meads, for instance, didn't really. You could find great beer from them, but there was no consistency, and it's just the way their equipment was. Then you have breweries like the Blue Elephant, whose survival was basically they were the only thing in that town, and people local would buy from them. It didn't matter that their beer wasn't priced amazingly, and it didn't matter that their beer all had the exact same brewing fault. They still did well because they were a restaurant and they were the only thing in that town. There's other places that do that, and there are people that will schlub for anything. You look at YouTube, I can name you about 9 really big beer reviewers that are just schlubs for free beer. And it's a sad thing. And there's one guy who I think in his like 3,000 reviews has had 2 bad reviews. That should tell you something, because you're not going to like every single beer you ever drink. Nobody will. That's like saying every single thing you eat in life you like. It's not going to happen. So I mean, I get it. I get that, all exposure, well, for the most part, it's, we'll give the beer for free. They'll probably say something somewhat good about it because they want more beer for free, and that's good exposure for us. I think you need to get into this because you love it, not because you want stuff for free. Or you use it, there's a lot of other people that have used it as a stepping stone to get into the industry. Look at Maple Ruski. Maple Ruski is now done his brewing courses. He is getting into the industry. He took this YouTube channel his YouTube channel, and used it to bridge the gap into the industry. There's a lot of things you can do for it, but the schlubbing for free product, it boggles my mind. And no, it's not, I've gotten enough free product in my life, I don't care. A lot of breweries I would walk into and they're like, oh, take it all for free. And I'm like, no, I'm here to support you. You want to give me 1 or 2 things that I haven't had to review for free? Sure, but the rest of this order I'm paying for. It's just the way it should be. You should be wanting to support. Now, that was topic 1. Topic 2, as most of you know, I don't talk about politics much on here. I don't talk about religion much on here. I talk about myself. I show you some of the stuff going on in my life. I do hot sauce, I do weird food, I do beer. But I don't really talk about my own beliefs very often. Every once in a while there'll be a little jab in a video, and that's just shits and giggles for me. But I haven't talked about stuff a lot. I know that right now with COVID, the divide between people is huge. It's huge. It's crazy between the people that think the people on the vax side, the people on the unvax side, the people on the far sides of both of those. It's the things that are being said from both sides is insanity. I'm vaxxed. I'm vaccinated for one reason, because I live in the Arctic and I wouldn't be allowed to fly south if I wasn't vaccinated. That was the rule. I hadn't seen my kids in almost 2 years. I took the vaccination, because the consequence was I wouldn't see my kids again for at least another year, maybe more. Who knows what would end up happening? And I wasn't going to take that because I had missed them for so long. If that hadn't been the case, would I have still gotten vaccinated? Probably. I don't know. I can't say, but whatever. I had a friend on my Facebook page who is in the industry. He was a salesman for a bunch of different breweries. And he, when this all started, he was full on, you guys are fucking idiots, you need to do everything the government said, and then he like flipped a switch. And he went to the far other extreme. No vaccines, no closures, no masks, this is fucking control, this is my human rights, And he posted something yesterday. And what he posted was there's 43,000 sexual offenders in Canada on the Sex Offenders Act. And they don't have to carry a passcode or a passport. You know why? Because that infringes on their rights. Just think about it. And that set me off. And that set me off because I know people that have been raped. I have somebody in my very immediate family that has been sexually assaulted. I have people in my immediate family who are related to people who are on the Sex Offenders Act for indecent exposure and other such things. So I went off. I'm like, you're right. They don't need a passport. They are told where they can live. They're told where they can work. Some of them aren't allowed on the internet. Some of them have to report for 20 or 30 years or life on everything they're doing. They're not allowed to interact with certain people. They're not allowed to be in certain places of the town. Some of them have to wear an ankle bracelet forever. I go, don't sit there and say that a vaccine passport is as infringing on your rights as people on the Sex Offenders Act. Don't sit there and compare the two. That's like, he also posted a thing comparing Hitler with what's going on right now, that the Nazis, were just as bad as doing vaccine passports. I don't care if you're anti-vax or you're not anti-vax. I don't care if you think that there's something going on, if there's a conspiracy or this and that, or you don't. Stop taking real things that have destroyed millions of lives and compare it to this. Maybe down the road it will be the same, but right now you're just seeming like an asshole, and right now you're just becoming an asshole. What you're doing is trying to bring shock value to this just to fuck with things. Stop bringing the shock value. It's moronic. Again, I know lots of people that have been affected by sex offenses, and fuck, I have somebody else in my family whose father has gone to prison for sex offenses and will never be allowed in his life again. Will never be allowed in his life again because he committed a sex offense. That's good. I'm okay with that. Whatever. I'm glad that he's being taken out of his life. I'm glad that's happening. But don't sit there and compare a vaccine passport, which your parents have had to send to your school since we were all kids, in order for you to go to school, as compared to that. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. This apples to oranges bullshit that people have been pulling, and it is both the right and left side. The left side has been fucking pulling the apples to oranges bullshit forever as well. Stop it. Stop trying to create bigger divides. Just stop interacting with crazy too. You know what I did? I made my peace. I said what I had to say. I blocked him. I unfriended him. I'm done. I hope the breweries that he works for sees exactly the type of things that he's posting, because that's not looking good for them either. I'm sorry, that one right there, and then he went on when he posted that, right after he posted that, he posted a whole bunch of videos, and he's like, today's all about offending you. If you're offended, delete me. None of those offended me. It just proved that you're a fucking childish man, even though you're in your 50s. But that one bothered me. And that one bothered me again because I have people that are affected. And why does the vaccine stuff bother me? Because again, I wouldn't have been allowed to see my kids. It wouldn't have mattered if I had said my human rights. I still wouldn't have been allowed to see my kids. Because I wouldn't have been allowed to get out of where I am. Every choice you make has a consequence. You are free to make whatever choice you want. You're free to choose to not be vaccinated. The consequence is, as of right now, you won't be allowed to do certain things. You have the choice to murder somebody. The consequence is, if you get caught, you're going to prison. You have the choice to do whatever you want in life. There is always a consequence for that choice, and I think that's what bothers me the most, is we have come this full circle, and everybody thinks they're free to do whatever they want with full impunity. You can't touch me, I can say whatever I want. No, you can say whatever you want. That's a right. However, it's also your job's right to disassociate with you. It's your friends' rights to tell you you're a fucking idiot. It's the it's the law's right to say what you're doing is hate speech or this and that. It There is a consequence for every action. We need to learn that. And we in Canada need to stop fucking harping on the freedom of speech. We don't have the freedom of speech in Canada. That is in the US. We have freedom of expression. And again, freedom of expression, sort of the same, not quite the same. It has more rules on it. I don't understand our education system where people don't remember what's in our Charter of Rights, but can remember what's in the US Charter of Rights. Like I said, I try not to do these videos. I don't care which side of the fence you're on. I really don't. What I care about is stop being a fucking piece of shit to each other. That's what I care about. And if you want to be a fucking piece of shit to each other, don't be surprised when I tell you to go fuck yourself and leave. And stop associating with you. Because I stopped associating with my mother. I stopped associating with a good portion of my family. I stopped associating with people that still had my ex-wife on their friends list on Facebook, and they got angry at me. Some of them were family, and they're like, "Why did you unfriend me?" And I said, "Well, you guys know what's happened. You guys know what she said happened in court. You know what I've said has happened. So either you're okay with somebody lying and lying and lying to ruin somebody's life, or you're okay with somebody that did the things she said." And neither of those I'm okay with. Anyway, guys, bye.